Maybe episode 200 last week can be an Oliver AI special. We didn't do that. I'd love to hear him talk more about the status quo in the field. Well, Oliver, I think you have some things to say about the status quo in the AI field.
I really thought I should answer this question this week because there have been huge advances in the state of the art for LLMs in particular that I wanted to mention, and I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible because it's a little bit dense, but I just want to explain this and why I'm so excited and why this is so compelling. So there's this new functionality in ChatGPT called Deep Research. Gemini, Google Gemini had a version of this, has had a version of this since last December, but the Gemini models not nearly as good as the ChatGPT models, and their version of this is not nearly as compelling as the OpenAI version. So basically, it gives you a personalized brief on a subject faster than any human could by several orders of magnitude and in incredible detail. So 4.0 has been able to do pretty good web search since like September or October of last year, but it's like kind of mid-tier in intelligence. It's not really a reasoning model. It's going to make mistakes from time to time. It can't pull together all that many sources. It can't execute on a plan in a stepwise fashion over time to reason through a problem. It's just one shot. It's your question, a quick search, and then whatever emerges from the model's awaits from that point. There's no reasoning process on top of that. Whereas with this new deep reasoning model, it's the full GPT-03 in its first deployment anywhere. So that's the most powerful reasoning model on the planet that's been deployed in any capacity, brand new. And it basically takes the ChatGPT search functionality, combines it with this reasoning model, and then it lets it roll for 5 to 30 minutes with this deep research project, and it can produce some incredible results. So for instance, I wrote my notes for this direct, and then I put them into deep research for fact checking and verification. And if there's anything I missed, it took 13 minutes and it came back with 13,000 words of meticulously detailed fact checking that would have taken a researcher, I'm sure, like a day. It's crazy. I also used it to compile all the information about every state of play game here, just to give me some background information. Again, not super relevant necessarily to the conversation, but I wanted to see what it could do. And it compiled 18,000 words of very dense and rich information in 17 minutes. So it's like having a researcher who has an internet connection, and you speed them up by 100 times and you make them 1/400th of the cost. It's crazy. Now, for our work, this has, questionable applicability, at least to a lot of the work that I do, because we're so focused on the visual output of games, often unreleased games. So that really doesn't do anything for that. This is all text. This is all information that's on the internet, basically. But I do think when it is useful, it could possibly be quite useful. If you can find something to apply it to, it feels like a superpower. It is so fast. It is like the craziest thing I've ever seen in AI. The only downside is that its use is very limited. So right now, I upgraded to the Pro ChatGPT plan so I could use it, which is $200 a month USD. Not so.
Oh my God!
And you only get 100 uses per month. Which sounds like a lot, but it's really low relative to any other model where you might have 100 uses every few hours or something. It's really compute intensive. But they do say they're bringing it to the Plus plan at about 10 messages per month, which should be reasonable to just try it out, or even on the free plan, 2 messages per month. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it can easily provide like hundreds of dollars of value per search. I could totally see that for people with the right applications here in a very wide variety of fields. It's really good. And of course, from here, it's only going to get cheaper, faster. The pace of AI progress is so quick. We're talking about 10 times, 100 times reductions in cost every single year here. Like the pace is insane. So this stuff is going to be really quite cheap very quickly. And it's already like not expensive relative to the cost of hiring someone.
A researcher.
Obviously a researcher.
Yeah.
So now, of course, like a lot of AI technologies that are very good, this has potentially enormous potential for really, really negative consequences in terms of distribution in the kinds of economies we live in. But it's a stunning accomplishment. Easily the most impressive application of AI I've ever seen. Very, very cool. Almost like super intelligent in the speed and depth and breadth of information it can get out of you. And I've got lots of examples on screen right here. It's really quite incredible. And it's very, very accurate, I find. Rarely makes mistakes. It does make mistakes, rarely makes mistakes. And again, that will get better. I also wanted to mention Pika Editions, which is cool, a little off left field here, but it's a cool little AI video application that, again, has come out in the past week. I've seen lots of AI video models. This is quite different, though, in it is not replacing a live action production, it's adding to a live action production. So you get your live action plate and you add an AI CGI character to it, essentially, or element to it. And it generally integrates really well into your video. The lighting is consistent. It can interact plausibly with elements in the scene. Animation is okay. Masking is pretty good against like foreground elements. And it's really cool. It's not really at a grade that would work for like professional video, but it's good for social media video. And its flexibility and integration with real world content, I think, is really cool. And, of course, these AI video applications, I'm always thinking, could this be suitable for real time? Now, of course, these are running on server GPUs over minutes, so probably not. But, a few, order of magnitude improvements here, there, everywhere over time. Maybe you could see something like this running on for a real-time application at some point. Again, a bit of a distant dream at this point, but certainly the quality is getting there. If the quality is getting there, then it's a question of speed. 6 months ago, I would say the quality wasn't really getting there. Now it's getting there in a lot of respects. So that's really cool. So just 2 updates on AI stuff. One really apocalyptic, earth-shaking, crazy thing that is like pretty nuts to experience and to use. And I'd certainly advise anyone who has a fair chunk of change wants to give it a shot because it could be totally life-changing for some people in some fields, totally life-changing in both good and bad ways.
Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah.
But and the Pika Editions thing, I think, is just a really cool application of AI video that I had not seen before. So just 2 updates on the state of the art in AI, but I'll go back to my corner now. I'm done with my little rant here.
It's a good corner.
But that's all I had to say.
Yeah, I actually have a question about the research model. Also, thank you for that report on all that stuff. It's good to know. The research model, does it provide you with footnotes and references so that you can call back to exactly where the source was?
It does.
That this like collation of
So
that's really useful.
It has inline citations. So right next to, and when you click the citation, it doesn't just take you back to the web page, it takes you back to a highlighted part of the web page where it drew its information from. So you can super easily check every single piece of information if you want to check, or you could have an LLM double check it for you. You could just throw this through recursively, recycle it in and out, wash it through an LLM if you wanted to. But you can check everything yourself. It's really like extremely. The one universal aspect of all these AI tools is they're almost always super user-friendly, and OpenAI has just integrated this in the most user-friendly way imaginable. It's really, really something special, and it can provide so much insight into different issues. It can pull from so many different sources, do research that would take such a long time to do. I mean, it's outrageous, but yeah, not too applicable to like a typical video that I do, but perhaps sometimes adds some use.
It's also interesting to just think about it, because like I understand why this could be extremely negative to the profitability and even livelihoods of a whole ton of people, but at the same time, the web right now is so hostile to getting information. It is incredibly hostile. Like going to a website, I loaded up a German website just the other day on my phone, and it was one that I'd used like a couple of years ago, and I came back to it now, and the scrolling experience on my phone was absurd. Like half page ad, bottom page ad, things on the side bracketing it, then hitting like some buttons to get stuff to go away, and I was still scrolling through nonsense at that point, and it was just impossible. And this was one page, and even getting to that page in the first place was a problem. And having the whole idea of the internet of having the world of information at your fingertips has become long obfuscated in search engines and also on the web pages themselves, that this actually does seem pretty revolutionary in that aspect, Oliver. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, to me, like Google is borderline unusable at times. And
it's
going
crap.
through websites with a ton of different ads and content tracking and slowness.
And the cookies as well.
Cookies,
all
the stuff.
All the cookies.
It's frustrating. And this is basically a way to get a perfectly curated version of the internet to you in, 5 to 30 minutes of this model running very, very quickly on some GB200 somewhere in Arizona or whatever. It's a very easy way to get you the internet in exactly the format you want it to. Now, again, that has negative implications for some things, but like even still, I'm reading through these reports, I'm clicking the links, I'm going through, I'm visiting the sites as well. I'm doing the whole thing. I'm really excited to see everything. So, it's an incredible way to just get the internet to you. And initially when I started using it, I'm like, I'm going to put $200 down just so I can experiment with it. But now I'm using it for a number of different queries and finding value in all kinds of ways that I would have never expected, because this tool is so powerful. It's a great replacement for a Google search. I mean, it's the world's most comprehensive Google search compiled by a researcher who works 100 times quicker than any human. I mean, it's crazy. But anyways, I'm done with my little spiel.
I think in terms of like its use for games, it's exactly as you say. Like, we have an initiative sometimes on the information about a game before it reaches the internet, and we'll get like preview builds. Like, so the information is almost like exclusive to us. So in that sense, it's like that there's limited application for that.
It's also visual information. It's also experiential, right? These are things that LLMs can't really touch at the moment. So yeah, it's not really applicable to our work necessarily. It's applicable to a lot of people's work in possibly negative ways, which is why I want to be sensitive to that. But it's also an incredible development in technology that is just like outrageously impressive. But that's all.
That was an awesome topic. I think we should do this more like on a semi-weekly basis, Oliver, because that was a lot of information and things that I don't know about.
Yeah.
And I would only read possibly bad headlines about that I wouldn't understand because I don't have nearly enough interest as you do.
I'm happy to do so.
But this is good.
Whenever there's something exciting. Now, like I said, for me personally, over the past 3 years, there have been a few exciting things, but over the past 3 months, there have been like 4 or 5 exciting things. So it's just getting faster. But yeah, this has been super exciting. And if there is stuff that's exciting in the future, perhaps I can tell our audience a little bit about it and why it's so compelling.